What role did these two old raggedy shoes have to do with creating a defining moment in my transplant recovery? I think we all have a story similar to this, so if you're interested at all, then stay tuned. Hey folks, welcome to the Transplant Helper today. My name is Jim Merle. Today in the Transplant Helper discussion, we're going to be talking about defining moments. That is, moments post-transplant when something occurred, something caught your attention or your eyes that really caused you to realize that yes, you're going to make it, you're going to live through this. For me, it all revolves around these two old raggedy shoes. This old pair of Crocs, and maybe you can even smell them. I've had them for about 6 or 7 years now. I love these shoes. I still wear them to this very day, not only because they're comfortable, but more importantly, because they mean something to me. There was a defining moment in my transplant recovery back years ago, 4.5, almost 5 years ago now, when I really caught notice simply because of this pair of raggedy shoes. Now you say, how in the world could that be, and how does this apply to me? Well, again, I think you'll discover at the end of this that we all have defining moments similar to this, and I hope that you'll be willing to share those here in just a moment. Now, for me, these two shoes had a huge impact on my life 4.5 so years ago, post-transplant. I think I was about 4 or 5 days out of transplant surgery. And what I'm talking about is that moment in time when you're kind of frustrated, at least I was, kind of frustrated, kind of beginning to doubt that this surgery has all been worth it. And I remember I was making pretty good progress as far as my recovery, so I thought, that is, I was able to get up and down out of the bed, I was able to go and walk, and I was walking several laps, almost miles per day by that point, so things were going pretty well, but I was still kind of doubting that things were really going to be what I expected them to be. As a matter of fact, I was beginning to doubt if the recovery process was even going to be worth it. I'd had some difficulties after surgery with some tubes getting out of place, getting on a lung, causing a lot of pain, and so I'd kind of had a difficult road there for the first, I would say, 4 to 5 days, and this was a part of that time period. But here's what happened for me. The nurse came in one day, checked on me, asked me if I'd been up and walked yet. I told her no, but I was fixing to get up in a few minutes, yada yada, whatever. And as she left the room, I decided, you know what? It will be the perfect time to cut off that television, go ahead and get up and hit the hallways and do some walking. So I turned that aside of me, pulled off my oxygen, reached and got my mask, put that on, turned to get up out of bed and realized that my shoes, these shoes right here, shoes, were not there. And I got very, frustrated, I guess you'd say, because I couldn't find them. So finally, I went ahead and got on up out of bed, started to look around the room, and finally saw my shoes had inadvertently, I guess, been kicked underneath the bed by apparently the nurse that had just left. Now, without even thinking, I immediately bent over, reached under my bed, pulled these shoes out, sat back down on the bed, and proceeded to put them on. And it was at that moment that, I'll be honest with you, I think I almost began to tear up. I got emotional because I began to realize, hey, this is a big deal. This is a defining moment in my post-transplant recovery, because I realized and remembered then, Jim, you have not been over at that point in time in probably 3.5 or 4 years. Because every time I'd been over past about this angle right here in 3.5 to 4 years, I either passed out or nearly passed out. So lightheaded, so dizzy, so whatever. My blood pressure would drop when I would bend over, and sometimes it seemed out I would go. But here we were just a few days outside of transplant, and these shoes inadvertently kicked under my bed, I think almost by the act and the providence of God, were there for me to grab without even thinking. And I assume if I'd even thought about it, I probably would have called the nurse and asked her to get them. But now, as a defining moment, a glorious moment in my recovery, I had reached down, picked up the shoes, put them on, and was about to walk out the door. Now, you may not have a story like that. I would imagine there's probably no one watching this video that says, yeah, that's exactly what happened to me. It was on the 4th day and this. No, you didn't have that kind of story. But I think all of us, if we'll think back, and many of you already have thought about it as I'm talking, all of us, if we'll think back, have some kind of defining moment, some sort of defining story in our transplant recovery where we say, okay, that's it. That's right, this is all worth it. Things are really going to go in my direction, and I'm excited for the progress that I've made. I think you've had that, and I would love to hear about it as well as everyone else in the Transplant Helper community. So if you've got a story like that, some defining moment, some moment where it was an aha moment where you thought, yeah, this is all worth it, I'd love to hear about it. How about put your comments below this video? Go ahead and give this video a like or a thumbs up, and comment below the video. Tell me something about your moment. Tell me something about the special moment in time, whenever that was. It could have been a few days or a few months or a few years after, when you said, yeah, this is it. This is good. Because transplant is good. We're all blessed to have transplants, those who've already gotten them, those who are waiting. You're even blessed to be listed for that matter. But transplant is a good thing. It's a wonderful blessing, but we all look for those times when we can really say, yeah, this is it. It's been all worth it. Again, I'd love to hear your story in the comments below. If you don't want to comment here on YouTube, maybe you found this video over on Twitter, maybe you found it over on Facebook, at one of my Facebook pages, The Transplant Helper or The Transplant Helper Group, all of that. Go ahead and put your comments. I'd love to share and to have us in this discussion today. And I appreciate your time. But until next time, stay stronger, friends.